The Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach DLC Ruin has released, and now that some time has passed, and I've had some time to question a couple of things, I'm left with a couple of questions. The one I'm focusing on for this video is the topic of Glamrock Freddy's absence from the game, specifically the absence of his head/voice, and not a single mention of him within the game. To start, by all appearances, it seems that the canon ending to Security Breach is supposed to be the Princess Quest ending. There are some questions I have about that regarding the state of disarray that Pizzaplex has been left in, but I might end up looking into that a bit later, or I might have missed something in-game that answers that question. To quickly summarize the Princess Quest ending, in base game Security Breach, you need to find and beat the Princess Quest 1 and 2 arcade machines, located in the back of Roxy Salon and at the back of the Fazcade where the DJ Music Man chase happens respectively. After completing the two, you must have destroyed Glamrock Chica either before or after 6 AM, which allows you access to the two Vanny endings, one where Freddy and Vanessa are both disassembled, the bad Vanny ending, and the other where you beat Princess Quest 3 and free Vanessa, known as the Redemption ending. Now, in the Princess Quest ending, Gregory, Freddy's head, and Vanessa are all shown together, meaning all three of them made it out together. No one was left behind. In Ruin, the only voices we hear in-game outside of Cassie and the animatronics left behind is Gregory, which isn't actually Gregory. From here on out, I'm going to refer to when the Mimic is pretending to be Gregory as Grimmick, based on the file name. During the final chase scene, Grimmick is revealed to not be Gregory, but the real Gregory begins to talk to Cassie. And no, I'm not going to talk about the elevator static possibly implying the Mimic is trying to frame Gregory for cutting the elevator cables for whatever reason. That topic can be explored some other time. The reason I mention this is to talk about the fact that the other two voices missing from the DLC are Vanessa and Freddy. One thing that is implied in the ending of the DLC is that Gregory, and possibly Vanessa and Freddy, went back to the Pizzaplex sometime after the events of Security Breach. Otherwise, how does Gregory know about the Nexus machine keeping security over the Mimic? It could be that he either made it, or started it up to prevent the Mimic from hurting more people than it currently has, but I'm not going to jump to any such conclusions. This conclusion is evident through a backpack with Gregory's name on it having been left down in the basement of the FNaF 6 location, just outside of where the Mimic was sealed behind a wall of concrete. This also suggests that Gregory, with the help of possibly Vanessa and Freddy, lured the Mimic into the area he was sealed in, which is evident by the vent sitting right behind the backpack having a handprint, suggesting that this is how Gregory escaped after luring the Mimic further in, and most likely had the vent sealed off right after his escape. Just wanted to jump in real quick and say that it's possible that that handprint could have been left from somebody else, but given the fact that it's right next to the Gregory backpack, I think that's what Steelwood was trying to allude to. Anyways, I'm gonna let you get back to the theory now. I quickly want to jump to one of the endings of Ruin, as something about it seemed to be more off than it initially appeared, and that is the Fredbear cutout ending, named the Brazil ending in the files. When you put on the mask, you get an image that is very similar to what you see in the Princess Quest ending, except for a couple of details. Change number 1, the ice cream that Gregory is eating has changed, but at this point in time, I don't know if that is meant to be majorly significant in any way. However, change number 2 is that the head of Glamrock Freddy is now Helpy. For those of you that didn't know, much like myself, Brazil is a movie made in 1985, possibly something interesting about that date, where at one point in time, the main character is about to be tortured, but manages to escape. However, the end of the movie shows that this isn't the case, and the main character just slipped into insanity before being tortured. With this information in mind, we can now get into the meat and potatoes of this theory. Jumping back into Security Breach, when the game first starts, we are introduced to Freddy and Gregory. And one of the first things Freddy does is scan Gregory to check his guest profile.
It is not a safe play area. There you are. Scanning complete. How odd. Your guest profile is unknown to me. Who are you?
This goes to show that to some extent, Fazbear Entertainment collects data on its patrons, and keeps said data in a database of some kind. This is probably how Roxy went from mistaking Cassie in Roxy Salon to being friendly towards her in front of the raceway.
Give me back my eyes! Ah! Let go! Let go! special day. I remember your special day. Do you still like carrot cake?
During the time between where Roxy catches Cassie outside of the merch shop to her change in attitude during the raceway scene, Roxy heard Cassie's voice and checked the database where she found Cassie's history as a patron. She realized she wasn't Gregory and became friendly towards her. Just wanted to jump in and give a quick side note. I also want to mention here that Roxy being deactivated in the raceway is more likely that she ended up rebooting in safe mode, similar to how Sun and Moon rebooted into Eclipse in the daycare.
No, I am trapped in a nap! Reboot! We need to be whole!
You want me to reboot you? With this?
Happy birthday!
But that's something else for another day. Getting back on topic, what is now established is that Fazbear Entertainment collects data on its patrons, stores it in a database, and the animatronics can access it when they need or want to. My theory is that when Gregory went down to seal the Mimic, Vanessa and Freddy's head went with him. During the time that Gregory was luring the Mimic, Freddy, who was probably giving instructions to Gregory on where to go, somehow ended up getting left behind with the Mimic, leading to the Mimic being able to use the parts from Freddy's head, namely the system that was allowing the animatronics to connect to the patron database. The Mimic then used that database to look for Gregory's information, but couldn't because his information was deleted for whatever reason, probably due to Gregory deleting it himself to help going into hiding after freeing himself from the control he was under, to make it easier to get away from his pursuers. This would explain why Freddy can't access his guest information. I want to jump into another side note here, and this one's going to be some heavy theory talk, but I think it's a possibility that Glitchtrap and the Mimic could be separate entities. That's just due to some personal thoughts on the story, but I don't have concrete evidence, and I might look into it later, but I don't want to give anything major right now. Honestly, I'm just saying that to explain why it's possible that Gregory deleted his data to run from Glitchtrap, but the Mimic doesn't know that he did. That would explain why the Mimic would use the system in Freddy to look for Gregory and can no longer find his data. That, or somehow, the Mimic gets his information from the animatronics themselves, but during security breach, Gregory destroys the animatronics, so now he doesn't have access to that information anymore. That leads into Cassie's role in the DLC. During the Roxy Salon section, before deactivating the third child node, you see a cutout of Gregory comforting Cassie while she's crying. This can be implied to be during Cassie's birthday due to one of Roxy's lines at the raceway saying that none of her friends came to her birthday party.
Have you booked your party? I'm sure your friends will show up this time.
Gregory was most likely there comforting Cassie at this time, which would be recorded into the Fazbear database and explains how the Mimic ended up knowing to choose Cassie for his plans. During the Roxy Salon section, after deactivating the third node, missing posters of Gregory show up around you, and the cutout of Cassie and Gregory changes to it just being Cassie, but now she's crying harder, implying she ended up becoming friends with Gregory after her party and was upset when Gregory went missing. That would explain why Cassie is so insistent on finding Gregory in Ruin, because he's been missing all this time and she really misses him. The scene immediately following the salon has Cassie mentioning calling the police, a sensible thing to do really, but continues on anyways when Grimmick says not to. Gregory having been missing for that long without having contact with Cassie explains why the topic of Vanessa doesn't come up either when Cassie wants to get help. I mean, I don't know about you, but someone with as much experience at the Pizzaplex as Vanessa might be someone to consider when asking for help at the Pizzaplex. This goes to show that Cassie most likely doesn't know about Vanessa at all, which then ties back into the Brazil ending. Remember the people that show up? Gregory, Helpy, and Vanessa. If Cassie doesn't know that Vanessa exists, why would she show up in an ending that implies Cassie is slipping into madness? See what I did there? Into madness? Okay. There should be no reason Vanessa should be there in that ending. The only way Cassie would know about her would be if Gregory returned to see Cassie after the events of Security Breach and told Cassie about Vanessa, unless that image isn't in Cassie's mind, but rather what is being shown to her by the mask. During Chapter 1 of Ruin, a staff bot gives you a mask similar to the one Vanny wears in Security Breach. This mask is the Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration Mask, or Vanny for short. Putting this on shows you a new version of Helpy called Helpy, spelled with an I, which assists you throughout the game. Throughout the game, Helpy will periodically change eye color, implying something ain't right there. This is confirmed when Gregory tells Cassie that the Mimic was tricking her to deactivate the security nodes, which was done with the help of Helpy in the mask. The two are shown to be working together, as during the Monty Golf catwalk section in Chapter 3, when inside of an AR tunnel, the Mexus rabbit appears and then disappears. Helpy says that he took care of it, followed by Grimmick saying he updated Helpy with a signal jammer. The Brazil ending is most likely the result of Helpy showing Cassie what she wants to see before the Mimic catches her. To prevent her from running away, meaning to an extent, this ending is a visual created by the Mimic. If the Mimic does have Freddy's head, then maybe he also has the system that contains Freddy's memories as well, which is why the Mimic would choose that specific scene to show to Cassie. A scene where the three were together and, if not happy, then at least at a peaceful moment, but without Freddy. The Mimic knows Freddy isn't with Gregory anymore, but doesn't know if Cassie has met Vanessa yet. If Gregory and Vanessa had met up with Cassie before sealing the Mimic, then she would know about Vanessa's existence and have seen Freddy with Gregory. If they had met up after sealing the Mimic, then she would know that Freddy isn't with them. If they haven't met up at all, then Cassie wouldn't recognize Vanessa, and Helpy is just a character she recognizes from the mask. Therefore, the safest image to show Cassie in that moment would be one without Freddy in it, but with Vanessa. All of this is to say, I believe that when Gregory went to seal the Mimic, he brought Vanessa and Freddy with him. Freddy got stuck in the area with the Mimic before Gregory escaped, but the Mimic used Freddy's access to Fazbear data and his memories to find Cassie and lure her to the Pizzaplex. I just want to say thank y'all so much for watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you clicked on it. At this current point in time, I'm not sure if I'm going to make any more FNaF content. When writing the script for this video, I was kind of hit with a bit of inspiration and other ideas for another theory that I want to hit on. I kind of hinted at it in this video. I want to see if anybody can figure out what it is. But to be perfectly honest, the only reason this video even exists is because I came up with the theory when watching another person's video. That's Dawko. If y'all know FNaF, you know him. And so I came up with this theory and wanted to kind of spread it around a little bit to see if others could agree with me or not. One more thing I wanted to hit on before I get out of here is all of the gameplay you saw in the background was done by a YouTube channel known as the Game Archivist. I did not receive permission from him to use any of his gameplay, so if he reaches out to me and tells me that he would rather not have his gameplay in my video, I understand. I will take it down and replace it with my own gameplay. His YouTube channel will be linked in the description. I want to make sure that, I'm giving credit where credit is due. But in the event that I'm stepping on toes that would rather not be appreciated if they were stepped on, I understand, and I will do what I can to make this right. But with that being said, I'm going to say it one more time. Thank y'all so much for watching, and if you'd like to see more content like that, please let me know. I would greatly appreciate it.